Everybody, it's really awesome to have you all here with us again on this Tuesday afternoon. We are continuing our course on analytical geometry, focusing mostly on circles and placing them on the Cartesian plane and the sort of interpretations and calculations that can be performed. Up to this point, we have spoken about center radius form, and we've spoken about standard form, which are the two forms in which the equation of a circle comes, and we've spoken how to go from one to the other and back to the other one, which is really, really important. So today we're going to move on and we're going to start talking about how circles interact with other objects, for want of a better word, on the Cartesian plane. And the first object that we need to consider is a point. So what we want to consider is whether a point lies inside a circle, on the circle, or outside of the circle. So in order to be able to do this, let me just highlight this for you in the middle of the screen. What you want to do is you want to compare the distance between the given point and the center with the radius of the circle. Okay, so in other words, you're going to calculate the distance from the point to the center. You're also going to, sorry, let me just turn that on silent, beg your pardon. You're also going to consider the length of the radius, and then you're going to compare those two. And what happens is, I've summarized in this table here below. Okay, so the center of the circle is C, the length of the radius is R, and T is a point in the Cartesian plane. So if TC is smaller than R, then the point T lies inside the circle. So the distance from T to C is smaller than R, then point T lies inside the circle. If the distance from T to C is the same as the length of the radius, then the point must lie on the circle. And then the last situation that we need to consider is if the distance from T to C is longer than the length of the radius, then that point must lie outside the circle. Does that make sense to everybody? Are there any questions? It's fairly easy thing to have to do. Okay, so let's have a look at example number 6, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to try a couple of these. All right, so they've asked us the question, does the point A, 2 and 6, lie inside or outside, in on the circle x squared minus 7 squared plus y plus 10 squared equals 49. Okay, so now what is important here is that we are answering a question. So we cannot make an assumption. We have to work out the distance between the point and the center, and then compare that to the radius, and then answer our question. Okay, so we cannot start off by making any assumptions at all in this case. So what we would need to use is distance formula. Right, we're going to sub into distance formula, and the coordinates that we're going to sub in, we call the center of the circle C. What would I say that the coordinates at C, the center of the circle, are for this particular circle? Let me ask Buhle. What would the coordinates at the center please be, please?
Ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, would it be 7 and minus 10?
Lovely, Buhle, that's great. 7 and minus 10, fantastic. Okay, and what you are doing now is you are calculating the length of AC, DAC. All right, so when we sub into distance formula, hopefully all of us know distance formula really well. We don't have to go and look at it on our formula sheet, but anyway, so it's the square root of the difference between the x's squared, so this would become 2 plus 7 squared, and the difference between the y's squared. So this would become 6 minus 10 squared, like so. And then you would pop that into your calculator and work it out, and you would end up with an answer of, what are you getting? See, I made a mistake when I did this. Strange. All right, anybody got an answer that they want to share today? I'm getting root 97. Is anybody else getting root 97?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, root 97 as well. Okay, cool. All right, lovely. So if we just press the SD button to understand sort of how long that actually is, I'm getting 9,85. All right, so now let's go and have a look at the length of the radius. What does this number 49 over here represent? What is it equal to? It is?
Ma'am,
R?
it's the length of the radius squared.
It's the length of the radius squared. Quite right, Bootle, it certainly is. So it's r squared is 49. Remember, normally when we take a square root, we would have to say positive or negative, but because this is a distance, it can only be positive. So that means that r has to be equal to 7. So now these are the two numbers we are comparing, okay? The distance from the point to the center of the circle is 9,7. The length of the radius, okay, which is from the circle center to the circumference, is 7. So does this point lie inside, on, or outside the circle? What do you think? DAC, so the distance from A to C, is greater than R. So when the distance from A to C is greater than R, then it must lie. Let's see what you're saying in the chat.
Outside.
Outside, good. Okay, cool bean. So it must lie outside. Okay, so therefore, the point lies outside the circle. Okay, does that make sense, everybody? Are there any questions you want to ask? You fine? Okay. All right, in that case, I've given you one of two questions to try. Okay, so you're either going to do 1.1 or 1.2. 1.2 is a sort of slightly more difficult question. So this one would sort of be the green and easy, and this one would sort of be the sort of slightly more difficult question. All right, so let me put distance formula on the board for you as well, and you guys can pick one and get started. Okay, there you go. Off you go, Matrix. And we will, Nicole and I will hang tight. We'll give you, say, 3 minutes.
Ma'am,
Yes, Tabile.
ma'am, could you please go up to the table? I
Sure.
want to take a screen.
Oh, you're going to take a screenshot. No, that's fine. Not a problem. Take a screenshot.
That.
Is that good, Tabile?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. All right. It's a pleasure, Tabile. No problem. So when you're finished, pop it done into the chat, and then at least Nicole and I know. Okay. Cool, Bushley, well done. Okay, Baranjo, are you saying 1? The point will be inside. Yeah, I got the same answer, Baranjo. We'll talk about our answers now. Are you guys ready? Am I pushing you too hard? Do you need another minute? Done. Okay. All right, Thelma. Okay, Neo. Good job. Sure, can you see there? All right, Kulani. Good job. Okay. Hopefully we're all done by now. All right, let's have a look at the first question. So in number 1.1, Morongo, you said that it lies inside. What did you get as the distance from the center to the point? What was your distance?
For the distance, I got 2 units, and for the radius, I got 5.
Okay, I didn't get 2 units for the distance. I got 4,72 for the distance, but maybe I'm wrong. And then for the radius, I got 5 as well. Did anybody agree with Morongo? Is he right and I'm wrong?
Ma'am, I had 4,47.
4,47. Okay, let's just quickly do this one together. I don't know why we're getting different answers here. Okay, all right. So, oh, you've got 4,47 as well. Okay, maybe I made a mistake, Bochepo. Bushley has also got 4,47. Okay, maybe I pressed something weird on the calculator when I put those numbers in. All right, yeah, so let's change that, 4,47. The majority are normally correct. Yeah, okay. All right, thanks, guys. So I must have pressed something funny and so must Morongo. Okay, but the radius is definitely 5 and it's inside. And then for question 1.2, what did you guys get? Anybody do question 1.2? Did no one do 1.2? Did everybody do 1.2? You got 8,94. Okay, Lorato, I tell you what, let's do this one quickly and then we'll see. I think I see here, I don't know what I did. Maybe I didn't do this one. I don't know why. Okay, so we need to complete the square first of all, because we need to know the length of the radius with this particular question. Sure, Michelle. All right, I'll come back and I'll do question 1.1. Not a problem. All right, so completing the square, if you remember, so it's x squared minus 8x, then half of half of negative 8 is negative 4, and then when I square that, it's 16, so I'm going to add 16 over here. plus y squared plus 6y. Half of 6 is 3. Squared means plus 9. And I'm going to take the 2 over to the other side. And because I added 16 to the left and 9 to the left, I must add them to the right as well. Now I'm going to factorize my perfect square trinomial. That's going to give me x minus 4 squared. And then here, this is going to give me y plus 3 squared. And that's going to be equal to, I get 27. All right, so that means that the coordinates at the center are 4 and negative 3. So the distance from the point to C is going to be 4 minus 4 squared plus 1 plus 3 squared. Okay, which gives us, well, that would be 0, that would be 4. 4 squared would be 16. So this would be equal to 8. All right, so now what we're doing is we're comparing 8, which is the distance from the point to the center, with root 27. Okay, so remember 27 is r squared. So if r squared is equal to 27, that means that r must be root 27, and root 27 I think would be smaller. Yeah, because it's 5 comma 196, that would be 5 comma 20. Okay, so therefore the point lies outside the circle. Do you guys agree? Have I made a mistake?
Yes, ma'am.
Have I?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
The square
where did I
root
make a
of,
mistake, Boutle?
ma'am, isn't the square root of 16 4, ma'am?
Of course it is. Of course. Sorry, I don't know. I'm not feeling great today. Sorry, Boutle. Not that that's an excuse, but yes, quite right. Okay, so the square root of 16 is 4. So now we're comparing 4 with 5 comma 20. So that means that the radius is shorter. Sorry, so the point lies inside the circle. Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right, yes, there we go. I'm getting 4 as well. Sorry, that was just a really silly mistake on my part. All right, so now somebody asked if we could go back and have a look at 1.1, which is also not a problem at all. So let's just write down the coordinates at the center. At the center, the coordinates are positive 3 and negative 1. Okay, now our point lies at negative 1 and 1. So now we want the distance between our point and C. Okay, so now we've got 3 minus negative 1 will be 3 plus 1. And here we've got negative 1 minus negative 1 squared. Okay, which leaves us with I get 2 root 5. Which, okay, see, I'm still getting the same answer. I don't know why you guys are getting 4,47. I'm still getting 4, oh, it is 4,47. Sorry, 4,47. Yes, correct. Does that make sense? I think it was it you, Cassandra, you wanted us to do the distance formula there. Are you happy with that? No, it wasn't Cassandra. Oh, can you see it? Okay, all right, cool. All right, lovely. So now let's have a look at the next sort of question. All right, so what they can do, cool, Michelle. Oh, sorry, it was you. I beg your pardon. Okay, thanks, Michelle. So let's have a look at the next kind of question that they can give us. So what they could expect us to do, Matrix, is they could expect us to calculate the value or values of P if point A minus 3 and P lies on the circle, and then the circle that's given to us is x squared minus 2 plus y minus 1 squared equals 50 squared. All right, so now they want us to calculate the value of P if the point lies on the circle. So if the point lies on the circle, what can we assume to be true? The distance from A to C has to be the length of the radius. Okay, absolutely. Okay, so the distance from A to C has to be the same length as the radius. So now we need to go and sub in order to be able to work out this missing coordinate. Let me just move this down here. I think it's a little bit squashed. Okay. So if AC is the length of the radius, how do I know how long the radius is? Where is the radius? The radius is equal to? Can anyone tell me?
Ma'am, is the radius equal to 50?
Is equal to?
50.
To root 50. Okay, so this over here is r squared. Okay, so r squared is 50, so that means that the radius is root 50. Okay, but now when we sub into distance formula, we're going to end up with a root over our distance formula, and we're going to end up with a root over 50, and then we're going to have to square both sides anyway, right? So in other words, what I'm saying is this, right? In order to work out the value of P, right? P represents a y coordinate. We've got the change in x's, all right? So that means we've got minus 3 minus 2 squared plus the change in y's. So P replaces y, so that's P minus 1 squared. And that's going to be equal to root 50. So if I wanted to, I could actually start this off by not writing the roots because I'm going to square both sides anyway. All right, and those roots are going to go away. Does that make sense to everybody? So this will leave me with 25. When I square my trinomial, one of the biggest mistakes that the matrix make here is that you forget about the middle term. So the middle term, p squared minus 2p plus 1 minus 50 equals 0. Let's get it into standard form. So that gives us p squared minus 2p. Whoopsie, why did I write ap? I don't know. Minus 2p, and then we've got 25 plus 1 minus 50, which sorry, 26 minus 50, which would be negative 24, wouldn't it? Equals 0. And now we're going to factorize. So p, so we've got minus 2p minus 24. So one bracket has to be minus, the other one has to be plus. The bigger of the two factors is the one that has to be negative because there's a negative middle term. So I would say in this case, it has to be p minus 12, p plus 2. No. 10 and 2. No, 10 and 2 is not going to work. 6 and 4. 6 and 4. Okay, so minus 6, p plus 4 equals 0. That's better. So that means that either p is equal to 6 or p is equal to negative 4. Okay, does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Okay. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Nicole's quite right. Please feel free to ask questions. We don't want anyone to be left behind. All right. So now I'm going to let you guys try question 2.2. That's going to be your challenge. And again, I'll just write distance formula here for you in case you need it. And you get started on 2.2, please. Cool, Kumo. Well done. Be interested to hear what your answers are. Well done, Thelma. Be interested to hear what you got as well. I hope I didn't make a mistake. Okay, we'll give everybody else another 2 minutes. Cool, Neo. Cool, Bochepo. Nice job. Okay, and Marco Sandile, you also done good. So the first person done was Kumo. Kumo, do you want to put your answers in the chat for us, please? Or you unmute if you want to talk. It's up to you.
Ma'am, I got P as 12,55, or P could be negative 2,55.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't get those answers, but maybe I made a mistake. Did anybody else get the same answers as Kumo? Or Chepo, what did you get?
Ma'am, I got P equals to 8 or P equals to 2.
Yeah, that's what I got as well. I also got P as 8 or P as 2. So Kumo, tell me, did you complete the square first?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Okay. So now in this particular question, do you think it was necessary to complete the square first?
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
I suppose you must have done, because otherwise you wouldn't have done it. Hey, okay. So in what I did in this question is I didn't complete the square here, because I said to myself that if this point lies on the circle, then essentially I am solving for an x coordinate of a point that lies on the circle, which means I can just sub in the corresponding y and then solve for the corresponding x in the form of p. That's how I did it. So I didn't complete the square here in order to do this question. I think you could have, but I don't think it was necessary for you to do this particular question. So this is what I did. I'll just show you guys, all right? Because remember, this point lies on the circle. Okay, so theoretically, it's a point that we should be able to solve for if we know what our corresponding y coordinate at that point is, which we do. Okay, so in other words, what I did, matrix, was this: is I said x is now p, so p squared minus 10p instead of 10x plus y squared. So y squared is 2, so 2 squared minus 6 times 2 plus 24 equals 0. And I ended up with p squared minus 10p, and then this is plus 4 minus 12 plus 24 gives me 0, which then gives me p squared minus 10p, and 4 minus 12 plus 24 is negative 8 plus 24. So negative 8 plus 24 is 16. And then I factorized and I said p minus 8, p minus 2 equals 0. Either p is 8 or p is 2. And that's how I got my answer. Okay, what do the rest of you think? How does it feel? Are you getting the same answers as Boitshepo and I? Cool, Morongoa. Yes, okay, cool. Thanks, Kulani. Thanks, Ayavua. Thanks, Thelma. And Kulani. And Lorato. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's do the next question quickly, and then we can go on to lines and circles, which is a super, super important part of analytical geometry, because we have to be able to solve simultaneously. So I was thinking, when it comes to question 5, maybe we could do this question together, and then we can have a look at the example, and then I want to give you one to try. All right, so now imagine they gave us this question. So a circle with center M minus 5 and 2 touches the y-axis at E and passes through F. In 5a, they want us to write down the coordinates of E and F. Okay, so who can give me the coordinates at E? Any one of you?
Ma'am, it's 0
Yes.
and 2.
It's 0 and 2, absolutely. And Oratilwe, how did you know that?
The y coordinates of M is the same as E.
Yeah, correct. And if E is a point on the y-axis, then its x coordinate has to
Then
be
X is
0. Very good, lovely, I love it. Okay, now F. Anybody want to offer an answer here? What does the x and y coordinates need to be at F? Let's see what's going on in the chat. Okay, so Mako Sandile says minus 5 and 0. Okay, so Mako Sandile, I agree with you as far as your x coordinate is concerned, but I don't agree with you as far as your y coordinate is concerned, because F is not a point on the x-axis. Okay, it's clearly a point in the third quadrant. Right, so this is the hard part in this question, right, is how do we work out the corresponding y coordinate? Because you're quite right, it has to be minus 5 because it's in the same vertical line as M. How are we going to work out what the y coordinate is? Oh, you are so clever, Michael. All right, lovely. Okay, so Michael says that it's minus 5 minus 3. Excellent. Okay, so what Michael did there, all right, is she took 5 away, because 5 is the length of the the radius. So if it's 5 units here, it has to be 5 units here. And what she did is she took 5 away from 2 to get -3. Okay, that's really good. Well done. I'm happy with that. All right, part B now, matrix. Determine the equation of the circle. Okay, well, you guys know how to do that. That's really easy. So in this case, we would do, so someone tell me what to write. Anyone? You guys all feeling shy tonight? How about Elizabeth? Yeah, go for it, can you see it? Elizabeth is probably...
Take a minute to try and figure it out, ma'am, so that I can say it the right way. Like 1 minute.
Ma'am, can I say it?
Okay.
So, ma'am, I got x plus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared equal to 10.
So you got x plus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 10. Okay, I agree with you with everything, but I don't agree with the 10. Because remember, this has to be r squared. So if the length of the radius is 5, then 5 times 5 is?
Oh, I see, ma'am. Thank you,
okay,
ma'am.
that would have to be 25. Okay. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Good. Okay. Morongoa, why don't you do question 5C? Tell us what to write.
I'm not done with it yet.
Oh, aren't you? Okay. All right. Anybody else feeling brave? No, not today. Okay, so essentially the question is exactly the same as what we've been practicing up to this point. Okay, so we're comparing the distance from the center to this particular point with the radius and going from there. All right, so what we would need to do here is work out the distance from the center to our point using distance formula. So if we say -3 minus -5, that would be +5. And then here 6 minus 2 squared. So that means that the length of MP is I get 2√5. Does anybody else get 2√5?
Yes, ma'am. Also true.
Are you okay, Boucher? You also get a 2√5, which if we press the SD button, that gives us, okay, we've seen this number before. This is 4,47. Okay, and we know that the length of the radius is 5. So in this case over here, the length of the radius is greater than MP. So if the radius is longer than the distance from the center to the point, then the point must lie inside the circle. Okay, point lies inside circle. Okay, everybody happy with that? So can you see, Lee, you saying it's outside? No, it is inside, yeah. It is
I made a
inside.
mistake with my signs when I was using the distance formula.
That's fine. Can you see, it's so easy to do that. That's normally, if we do make mistakes, it's normally with things like that. It's these silly little things with signs that end up costing us the most marks. All right, so I know even for myself, I have to constantly talk to myself when I'm working and make sure that I'm getting my signs correct. Okay, good job, Matrix. Well done. All right, so we've considered the first object, which is a point, together with a circle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about lines and circles. All right, so when it comes to a line and a circle, there are basically three possible outcomes. Right, so hang on a second, let me just move this down because I was a bit squashed. I wanted to do an example with you first. Sorry, when we set these up, I think that I've given myself enough space and then I never have. Okay. So if I want to determine the coordinates at a point of intersection between the straight line and the circle, I have to solve the equations of the straight line and the circle simultaneously. Okay, and I mean, as you've figured by now in matric, being able to solve simultaneously is a very, very, very important skill. And we apply it all over the place. All right, so you've got to be able to do that. And something like this really isn't meant to be that difficult. All right, they've told us we've got the straight line y equals x plus 1. They've told us that it intersects the circle x squared plus y squared equals 25, and they want us to determine the coordinates at the point of intersection. So we are literally subbing the straight line into the circle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say x squared plus, and I'm going to remove y, and I'm going to put in y is equal to, which is x plus 1 squared, and make that equal to 25. Right, so if you guys go wrong, it's not normally with that step, it's with the multiplying out. Remember, when you're squaring a binomial, there has to be a middle term. Okay, so this becomes x squared plus 2x plus 1 minus 25 equals 0. So this gives us 2x squared plus 2x minus 24 equals 0. And now when I divide through by 2, I would end up with x squared plus x minus 12 equals 0. And because the middle term is plus and the last term is negative, one bracket has to be plus, the other one has to be minus. So in this case, I would say we would have to have x plus 4 times x minus 3, which means that either x is equal to negative 4 or x is equal to 3 in this case. All right, so there are 2 points of intersection. All right, so this line doesn't just touch the circle in one place, it actually cuts it in 2 places, and we've got a special name for a line that does that, and I'll show you that now. All right, but they did ask us for the coordinates of the point of intersection, which means that I need to go back and I need to solve for the corresponding y coordinate. So I'm going to sub back into the straight line. So y equals x plus 1. So y equals negative 4 plus 1, which gives me negative 3. So that means that one point of intersection is in the third quadrant, where x is negative 4 and y is negative 3. And the other one, y is equal to 3 plus 1, which is equal to 4. So it happens in the first quadrant, where x is 3 and y is 4. Those are the 2 coordinates at the point of intersection. How does that sit with you? Is that okay? No, Morongowa, what's wrong? Where did I leave you?
I don't understand the minus 4 plus 1. I don't know where the 1 come from.
It's the other line. So remember, when you've solved for x, you have to go back in and solve for y. So the other equation, it was the line y equals x plus 1. So you're going to take whatever your x coordinate is, and you're going to add 1 to it to get your y coordinate in this case. You're going to take your x coordinate, you're going to add 1 to it, and you're going to get your y coordinate. Okay, so it comes from the question. Okay, all right. Okay, so something like this. Okay, the first line of the equation, the rest is fine. Okay, so what you're doing is you're substituting. All right, so you are solving simultaneously, Ayavua. All right, so if the line y equals x plus 1 intersects the circle, what I'm doing is that I'm removing the y. Okay, so I'm removing this y here, and in its place, I'm writing x plus 1. So this is where y was, and now I've got x plus 1. I'm solving simultaneously, which means I could only solve for one variable at a time. Okay. So in this situation here, because there are 2 x's and 2 y's, this is the first of the possible solutions, all right? So in this case here, there are 3 kinds of outcomes that you could have, right? Now, I think probably taking a screenshot of this page would be a good thing for you, okay? So there could be 2 pairs of solutions. So 2 x's and 2 y's, like the question that I've just done. So in this case, the straight line is called a secant, and it cuts the circle in 2 places. It goes through the center. It doesn't go through the center of the circle necessarily, but it cuts the circle in 2 places. If there is 1 pair of solutions, so sorry, 2 pairs of circles, there are 2 points of intersection, and the straight line is called a secant. Or the second outcome, all right, is that there is 1 pair of solutions, which means there is 1 point of intersection, in which case the straight line is a tangent to the circle. It only touches it in 1 place. And then we could find we had non-real roots. Okay, so there is no solution. Our solution is non-real. That means it does not intersect. So this will just be a straight line that does not touch the circle. Okay, so those are the 3 outcomes that you could have between a line and a circle. If they then asked you to show that a line was a tangent to a circle, what you would need to do is you would show that there's only 1 point of intersection between the 2. Okay, so if they do ever ask you that, to show that a line is a tangent to a circle, all you need to show is that there is only 1 point of intersection between the 2 graphs. Okay. All right, does that make sense to everyone? Oh yes, now that's why I didn't mean to. All right, what I'd like you guys to do is just try one here. Let me just go and grab. I want to overwhelm you. Okay, hang on a second, just let's do this very quickly. Because we don't have an awful lot of time left. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to choose one, okay? Either you're going to choose question 1.1 or you're going to choose question 1.2. 1.2 is the more challenging one and 1.1 is a little bit easier. Okay, so I'm going to put a green here and I'm going to put an orange over there. All right, and you're going to calculate whether there is a point or points of intersection and what those coordinates are. Okay, ready, steady, go. How are you doing, Matrix?
Ma'am, at question 1.2, I'm just confused as to what happens to the radius, ma'am. That -8, does it go on the other side of the equal sign, or?
Okay, so Kumo, again, you do not have to solve, you do not have to complete the square for this question in order to solve. So what you can do is you can rearrange the second equation and just sub it into the first one as it is. Okay, which means you don't have to take that 8 over to the other side. If you want to complete the square, then yes, but you don't need to complete the square to answer the question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Kumo.
Ma'am, I just want to ask a question for 1.1.
Sure.
Okay, so I got x squared plus, and then I substituted x plus 4 as y, so it's going to be
Yes.
x plus 4 squared.
Yes.
And then from that I got x squared plus 8x plus 16. I wanted to know the 8 there, must we put it on the other side and it becomes -8?
Absolutely, must become -8 equals 0. That's it, Ryle. Perfect.
Okay, then ma'am, I'm done with 1.1.
Okay, that's awesome. Well done. Cool beans. Nice. Good job. Okay, so Ryle is done, Boucle is done, Neo is done. Boucle is done. Mako is done. Sakwadi is done. Good. Well done. That's really nice. Okay, so Ryle, do you want to share your answers for number 1.1 with us, if that's okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Cool.
So ma'am, must I say everything from the beginning?
You can tell me what you got as your points of intersection, if that's okay, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, I had x is equal to -4 or x is equal to -1, and
Okay.
y is equal to 0 and y is equal to 3.
So you got x is equal to -4 or x is equal to?
And x is equal to -1.
-1. And then as far as y was concerned, you got?
Y is equal to 0 or y is equal to 3.
Okay, cool. All right. Now, I unfortunately did not get that answer, but Ryle, I could
Ma'am?
very definitely have made a mistake. Let's see what everybody else says. Yes, I hear someone saying, ma'am.
Ma'am, I got x is equals to -2 or x is equals to -2. I got the same point for my x-axis.
Yeah, me too, Cassandra. I also got that. So maybe what happened here, Ryle, I think it might just be with your factorizing. I think you've done everything else okay. But when you collected all your terms together and it ended up being in standard form, you should have ended up with x squared plus 4x plus 4, which I think you did based on the answers you gave me. But this is a perfect square trinomial, Ryle. So that means that when it factorizes into x plus 2 squared equals 0, which means that x is going to be equal to -2. Right, and then when you go and you sub back in, y is equal to -2 plus 4, you would have got that y was equal to 2. Okay.
Oh, no, I did make a mistake because I put it as x plus 4 and x plus 1.
Oh, okay. All right. So it was just that. Okay. But otherwise, that was really good. Well done. Very nice. Thank you. Okay. Good job. All right. Let's have a look what's going on in the chat. Konisila, you got +2 for both. Michelle, you got the same as her. Yes. Okay. Anyone got a question?
Ma'am?
Yes.
For me getting +2, I realized my mistake.
Mm.
I forgot to say that it's equals to x is equals to -2 instead of 2.
Yes, correct. Correct. Okay, so because it's x plus 2 inside the bracket, when you make the bracket equal to 0, x would have to be equal to -2 and not +2. Okay, you see again, guys, it's just little things like that, you know, the concept you actually understand, it's just signs and a little bit of factorizing. But anyway, that's what we're working on. All right, so let's get this finished. In question 1.2, we've only got 2 minutes to go. Who did 1.2 and wants to share their answers?
I did 1.2, ma'am.
Cool, Buhle, what did you get as an answer in 1.2?
Ma'am, I got x is equal to 3 or x is equal to -2.
That's what I got as well. Lovely, and then the corresponding y?
Yo, I forgot to sub in the x's, ma'am.
Okay, so I ended up with 5 or 0 when I went and subbed back in. So I hope I didn't make a mistake.
Ma'am,
All
may
right,
you please
that's really...
just do question
Yes, with
1.2,
pleasure.
ma'am?
With
Because I
pleasure.
got the wrong answers.
No problem. Okay, so it's up to you. Who's talking? Was it Buhle?
No, ma'am.
Can you see it? Okay, all right. Okay, can you see it? No problem. Okay, so can you see that the choice is yours? Either you can make x the subject of the formula, or you can make y the subject of the formula. When we're talking about this linear equation over here, what I did is I made y the subject of the formula. So I left the y on its own, and then I took this minus x over to the other side. So it became x plus 2. And then you don't have to complete the square in order to solve this. Right? We don't need the coordinates at the center. So what I did is I just went and subbed in. So that gave me x squared minus 2x plus y squared. I know that y is now x plus 2, and I need to square that. Minus 4 times y is equal to x plus 2. Minus 8 is equal to 0. Okay, so rearrange, sub in, remove brackets. X squared minus 2x plus, don't forget about the middle term. Okay, so square, double square. Okay, if you remember that from the last time. Minus 4x minus 8 minus another 8 is 0. Okay, so let's collect our like terms together here. Just move this up a little bit. So this gives us x squared plus x squared, which is 2x squared. And we've got minus 2x plus 4x minus 4x. So the plus 4x and the minus 4x will add up to 0. So this just is going to be minus 2x. Now x terms are done, our x squared terms are done. Minus 8 is minus 16. And if I add 4, then I'm going to end at negative 12, not positive 12. Negative 12. I divided through by 2. I got x squared minus x minus 6 is 0. And then that's where I got x minus 3 times x plus 2 is 0. X is equal to 3, or x is equal to negative 2. And then, of course, you go and you sub back into y equals x plus 2. So that's 3 plus 2. So that's where the 5 came from. So y equals negative 2 plus 2, that's where the 0 came from. Okay, before we end off, I just want to say, all right, it's very, very important that on the line where you have your factors, or if you choose to use the quadratic formula, all right, make sure that if you are factorizing that it equals 0, or that if you are using the quadratic formula that you showed that you've subbed into the quadratic formula. Okay, you can't just write down the quadratic formula, then pick up your calculator and work out the answers. You're going to throw away the mark on this line. Okay, so in matric, this is often an accuracy mark, not a method mark. So just be very, very careful of that. Okay, good, Kanyasile, well done. Yes, Boitshepo, those are the answers I got as well. All right, matrics, well, very well done to you. That's lovely. I'm super glad that that ended well, and hopefully everybody's feeling good. Okay, so there's a poll for Nicole to do. Cassandra, you wouldn't lose out on a mark. All right, so as long as you simplified your answer, you would be fine. Okay, Cassandra?
So, ma'am,
Yes, can you see it?
for a question like this, how many marks
Would it be worth? Yes, I wanted to tell you that as well. Okay, so let me just, okay, so definitely a mark for rearranging, can you see it? Definitely a mark for subbing in. Often there's a mark on either one of these two, either or. And then a CA here and a CA there. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 marks.
Oh, so it'll be this. It weighs quite similarly to the simultaneous one that we'll be doing for the inner.
Absolutely. In question 1, that's right. That's
So
right.
how would they exit?
What they would ask you to do is they would ask you to determine the coordinates at the point of intersection. So what we'll do is that once we are finished with all this work, I will do exam questions and then I'll point out to you where they're asking you for that, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, so they would ask you for the coordinates at the point of intersection between the line or tangent or secant and the circle.
Okay.
Okay. It's a pleasure. All right, so if you've done the poll and you don't have any questions, you're more than welcome to leave. Okay, bye, Matrix.
Ma'am, I have another question.
Sure, Kanisile, go for it.
For the work we did before, like the first questions that we did before, how would they actually ask them in an exam? Would they ask them the way you set them out for us, or would they ask them like in a different way?
Are you talking about the points in the circle, or are you talking about stuff from previous lessons?
Points and circles, ma'am.
I think that they would probably ask it in a similar way. The only thing that they could maybe do differently is they could say, show that point P lies outside the circle, or prove that point X lies on the circle. They could do it like that as well. But yeah, it would be fairly similar. And I know what you're referring to, because sometimes some of the questions that they ask us, we don't understand what they mean, and then we don't know what it is that we're supposed to do. But meanwhile, we actually know the method. If somebody was sitting next to us and said, okay, well, this is what the question means, you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, cool, I know how to do that. So yeah, we'll go and we'll have a look at some exam type questions where things might seem to be a little bit obscure, and then we can talk about what it means. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry to interrupt, Lee.
No problem.
I have to leave to join another class, the grade 10s,
Yes. I'm so sorry. No problem, Nicole. Thank you. Sorry for keeping you. Okay, thank you, Nicole. Bye. Oh, shame. Thank you, Cassandra. Bye, Neo.
For the questions, sorry, ma'am. For the questions that we did, for the first questions that we did when the lesson started, ma'am, we were saying like, we said, the distance AC is greater than the radius. Ma'am, would we actually have to write that out?
It would be nice if you did. So if you have a look here in my answer, all right, before I made my conclusion, I stated my findings. And, you know, in maths, you are supposed to do that. All right, so if you have a look at what I'm highlighting in blue, I said DAC was greater than R, and that's why the point lies outside the circle. You are supposed to do that, yes.
Okay.
Yes, because it's that is the crux of the matter. So yes, you are supposed to state it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, it's a pleasure. Anytime. It's a pleasure.
Please enjoy the
Anytime.
rest of your day.
I will. Thank you so much, and you too, and I will see you again on Thursday.
Bye, ma'am.
Pleasure. Bye. Bye, Cassandra.